What?
I said Malcolm alleged that some of Elijah's women were underage secretaries, and can you expound on that?
Yeah, well, I guess they were because they were there. I seen them. I seen them myself. It's all true. It's all true.
Good evening, messenger. You convinced us that you were the last messenger. How many other bastard children do you have?
Barbershop conversation, guys. Feel free, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget 9 wives, man. 9 wives. Don't forget to get the film. I'm sorry, I was watching that. I was watching some dumb video, man. Barbershop conversation. Feel free, hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in, man. We back, man. We back, man. Anyways, man. Spence Ugas, April 16th. Dallas Cowboys Stadium, and Showtime picked it up. I told you guys to pay attention, man. Tea leaves are everywhere, man. They're everywhere, man. And as I told you guys, just to pay attention to the business of boxing, especially if you're a PBC fighter, I'm giving y'all the game, and I'm preparing y'all for what's coming down the pipe. And when it's all said and done, you're gonna be like, man, that man Fred stood up against the machine and told the truth to help the fighters. So Showtime picks up the fight. Now, here's the big deal. And I'm probably I will be the only person to talk about this because this is a credential driven media circuit. Stephen Espinoza is going to have to stand up to Al Haymon. And the reason why I say that is he got bullied last time. Al Haymon took all his talent over, with the exception of Adrian Broner, because Fox couldn't handle, they like to keep things as close to G as possible. So Adrian Broner, I believe, was the only one left over there, right? And they even took Jamel over there for a fight. Jamal even fought over there on Christmas or something like that, right? I don't know. I can't recall, but he went back over there. Jamal went back over there. But the point I want to make is Showtime is the only player. Fox is pulling their resources. And the reason why I know Fox is pulling their resources, because like I said, Earl Spence, Dallas, Earl Spence, Jerry Jones, Dallas Cowboy Stadium, Jerry Jones, NFL owner has a deal with Fox. That's really, I'm going to tell you guys how it works. It's really that easy. It's a phone call. It's a phone call for Jerry Jones to say, hey, I want Fox on this. When I say it's that easy, it's that easy. I mean, it's easy to get it done. The application of it takes hundreds of employees, if not thousands of employees, with on the ground production, stuff like that, travel coordinators, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the point I'm making is Jerry Jones can get any network he wants. And Fox is just out of it. And I would equate that to you and your best friend. You not necessarily your best friend, but y'all, but mutual people who are eating off each other, right? And when you need them, they're gonna come through because they want you to continue to eat off of them. Because Jerry Jones is one of 32 votes, which drive both CBS and Fox. Is it 32 teams? Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyhow, Stephen Espinoza, man, you on the clock. And I like Stephen Espinoza. I like, as I say, he's one of the last of the Mohicans, the last good guys. And that may be the reason why Al Haymon may have taken advantage of him, because he went, I believe, I don't know this to be true. I've never done no deal with Stephen Espinoza. I believe he's a handshake kind of guy. Like you say you're going to do it, you do it. I've seen him be really fair with fighters. I don't know the level of fair, but visually it looks fair. How he treats him, he has one of those he has one of those um uh allowances that has no ending. You know, he works for Showtime. You know what I mean? So he I've walked by him with a company of people. I've never sat down with dinner with him, but you know, when you're in the MGM and shit, and it's open and the windows are open, I've seen him have dinner with a handful of people in boxing, and I'm willing to bet he picked up the check and or other things. And this ain't no um, Steven Espinoza thing, but I'm just telling you guys what I've seen at the MGM and around those restaurants at in Brooklyn. So Steven Espinoza, I want you to stand up to Al Heyman. Boxing needs you to stand up to Al Heyman because you're the only hope to get the best fighters fighting the best. And I think you need to have more control over who fights who. You should have final say. I don't know if you have it or not, but it looks like Al Heyman does by the BS that he was pumping out on Showtime the past couple of years prior to COVID. Was it prior to COVID? Or yeah, it was just a whole bunch of malarkey, you know. I use malarkey because I didn't want to curse. And uh so here we stand. Fox is, as we seen with January 1st, told us a lot, and y'all called me a hater, and I appreciate it because if you call me a hater, that means you're listening. And I believe Showtime has a card April 9th. I believe Fortuna and Lubin and Tony Harrison is fighting Sergio Garcia, if I'm not mistaken. And then they're funneling that energy into the April 16th card. I believe I'm correct. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I'm right. And we got to get Tony Harrison in the barbershop. Tony Harrison is always says a lot. And I'm glad that they finally gonna put Fortuna into a fight. And if I got Lubin and Tony Harrison winning, I like that fight. Even though Tony, you did say, I'm not gonna repeat what you said, but you said you can't get up for that fight. You know, I think that's a good fight. I think Tony Harrison versus Erickson Lubin for the mandatory spot, because you're not going to be able to fight because you're going to need a check in between. So you're not going to be able to fight for undisputed, even though you guys are on schedule. The wait has been so long that it's going to be a mandatory probably before the WBC. And I'm just thinking logical. I don't know. I'm just thinking logical. So it's probably going to be a WBA mandatory, a IBF mandatory, whatever. And I think you guys could command a lot of attention. And I think you could garner a lot of attention if you do well. So hopefully Tony Harrison is back out. You know, it's hard to be 100% when you lose your father. You know what I mean? But I hope him and his brother have a great deal of chemistry. They've worked it out. And Tony Harrison has emotionally and spiritually done the best he can given those circumstances. Erickson and Lubin, I saw Erickson and Lubin and Coach Cunningham post there in Vegas. That's interesting that they're in Vegas and they fighting at high altitude, which will be cool. I'm sure they'll get great sparring over there because we got to get rid of that Fortuna kid. Fortuna has been cakewalking through the PBC, and I know people in the 154-pound division is looking like, how is he getting all these dates? How is he the co-main event on all these pay-per-views? So we got to get rid of Fortuna, and it's nothing against Fortuna. It's just I'm a root for Erickson Lubin, and I just need him to go to the backseat, you know. So I'm excited about that. That's a good card. It's going to be promoted well. We got 4 mouthpieces. Well, Fortuna's not really a mouthpiece, but I think Lubin and Tony Harrison can carry those press conferences, and they're going to be in person now, which is cool. Hopefully he Steven Espinoza, fly that card out to Vegas or LA, man. Man, you need a Tony Harrison press conference. You need a Tony Harrison press conference. So we got to get Tony Harrison back. You know, since he's from Detroit, will the real Tony Harrison please stand up? Man, and bring back those cornball shirts, man. I want a sweater, man. I want a sweater. I want a shirt. That shit was classic, dog. That shit was classic. And so here we stand as we back to Showtime picks up Earl Spence, which is something that I tell you guys. And Steven Espinoza, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Will you let Al Haymon be Al Haymon like as usual, or will you stand up to Al and be like, "Hey, no, I'm not taking these booger fights anymore. I don't want these. I don't want this one. This no. You got to give me Earl Spence versus, or I'm not getting this fight." Because what may happen? Pay attention. Pay close attention. Pay close attention. Showtime might put on a Terrence Crawford fight, unattached to Al Haymon. Think about it. Think about it. They do it with Jaron Ennis. He fights Earl Spence. He wins. He carries on. He loses. Then they use him for Jaron Ennis. Or they do 2 fights. Somewhere in there. But Terrence Crawford can get a deal without Al Haymon. And y'all got to stop saying he needs to sign with Al Haymon. Do y'all see these fighters are fighting once a year? Come on, y'all. Y'all got to make it make sense, man. You know what I mean? Y'all must be some deprived son of a biscuits, man. And I know I was a part of that team years ago, but not any longer. Nobody should sign with Al Haymon. Nobody. Especially if you are a prospect. You shouldn't even be thinking about signing without. If Danny Garcia and Leo Santa Cruz are fighting once a year, and those are his 2 favorite fighters, what are he gonna do to you? Barbershop conversations, man. Steven Espinoza, stand up to Al Haymon, man. You deserve it. The fans deserve it. You are the last of the Mohicans, Steven Espinoza. You are the only man that hasn't been jaded yet that wears a suit. You know what I mean? Bob is going to do his thing. Al has been doing his thing. Lou is going to do his thing. And Eddie is he's almost there. He's almost there. How to do his thing. And he's still in the oven. But Steven, you're the only person that I see with that has a consciousness to him. And we need you to save boxing and save these PBC fighters, man. And I know you had to fill those dates because you wanted to keep on working with the Bellator. I know you don't want that though in real life. I already know, Steven. I know you don't want to fill your dates with Bellator, but Al Haymon was acting kind of funky. So, but you needed them dates to keep your job, to keep those incentives coming in. You know, you got that beautiful high rise that overlooks the one building, the Vanderbilt one, which is, you did have the coolest Zoom backdrop in all of quarantine. I will say that. I was like, God damn, what is that, a $3 million condo? $4 million? Well, that's New York, so I don't know what that is. My condo in downtown LA is, I bought it for end up buying it for close to $1 million. So, but anyways, but that shit, huh? nah, that shit crazy. So Steven Espinoza, I'm rooting for you and I'm gonna hold you accountable at the same time. So Barbershop Conversations, April 9th, I heard Tony Harrison versus Sergio Garcia. I don't know who Sergio Garcia is. And Fortuna versus Erickson Lubin on April 9th as the lead-in to Earl Spence and and keep in mind, they may do a card on the 23rd because that's an open date in America. They may do a card on the 23rd and add the replay to Earl Spence. So it'll just be like a 2-card fight. You know, it won't be no one big because of the budget. They done spent all their money on Earl Spence, but it may be somebody like, you know, I don't know. But because if I say some name, they might say I'm being disrespectful. But, you know, some medium-sized fight, you know, or maybe Jaron Ennis fights April 23rd, you know, to get that momentum with the welterweight division, et cetera, et cetera. Barbershop Conversations. Feel free to hit the subscribe button. Talk to you guys soon. Peace. And don't forget 9 wives, y'all. 9